And we're live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Gamma Effect. I am Gamma, here today for just a little bit to explain a few things to you. Now, my recent videos, I was giving a lot of information about the problems that American brothers are having, and also trying to give, or pretty successfully giving, some solutions that have to do with travel and passports and taking on new cultures and new kinds of women, new societies, to kind of alleviate the, I guess, unfairness that go on in Western society. Now, until you can do that, there are some maybe guidelines that we need to pay attention to. I'm not giving or I'm not telling you what to do or telling you how to move, but this is something that I noticed and I thought it was very valuable, so you let me know. If you find value in this video or just all the hard work that I'm doing to bring you these videos and live streams, you can please thank me by liking the channel, hitting the like button, applying pressure, subscribing to my channel, and hitting that notification bell so you'll be notified whenever these live streams and videos come up. Now, avoid people who have traits of being masculine and overly emotional. Now, what is that? What do I mean? Well, these two characteristics, in my opinion, are very, let's say, not so complimentary and actually not so healthy for society, individuals, and, bystanders. Now, why? Why is that? Well, masculinity. Masculinity is one of the most powerful forces and energies in the universe. It's how we've built civilization. It's how we've created all of the different technologies. It's how we've moved society forward. It's how we've moved human beings forward. It's literally been masculinity, trying to figure things out, leading. Well, hey, let's look at an example actually, or look at some definitions, I should say. Okay. That's not masculine. That's femininity. Okay, masculine characteristics. They include strength, courage, independence, leadership, and assertiveness. So I think it would be safe to say that masculinity gets stuff done, right? You moving forward. You got strength. You can manipulate the earth. You got courage. You got the audacity to create and build and do something. You got true independence, means you pretty much live and die on your own terms. Leadership is how you move a plan forward. Once again, it goes along with courage, independence, and strength. Then you got assertiveness, to have the fortitude to not be denied, right? You're moving forward with doing something. You have the audacity to do it. You have the determination to do it. You can't be deterred in your efforts. So masculinity gets stuff done. Now, animals have masculinity. Humans have masculinity. It's not strictly a male trait, although men do dominate it based on the fact that, we got testosterone, which is a hormone that really, it's kind of the gas that masculinity fires on, right? It's the fuel, I should say, not gas, but the fuel that masculinity fires on, right? And men have a ton of testosterone, and it's something that men do dominate. However, the female species of any animal can also have masculinity, probably just not much as the male species, by and large. I'm not speaking on all, but in most cases, the majority. Okay. So I think masculinity as a net negative is a very positive thing, right? We put together civilization from thousands and thousands of years ago. You go all the way back to the Sumerian civilizations, the ancient Kemet civilizations, all these great ancient civilizations. You got the Toltec and the Olmec as well, and the Americas. all these melanated, woolly-haired civilizations that really thrived on masculinity, right? They've got pyramids all in those type of civilizations, and that was the major structure that masculinity was putting together. So very powerful. It goes without saying. Very, very powerful. Now, the combination of masculinity along with a strong propensity for emotions, in my opinion, is very risky. You could even say it's dangerous. Now let's look at emotions before we explain the whole concept that I'm getting at. Okay, emotional. Of or relating to emotion. Okay, fair enough. Now this second one is really important. Dominated by or prone to emotion. So, dominated by emotions. That means the emotions take a hold and they run the show. They drive the ship. They are in control. They're dominated. They're dominating the whoever is subject to those emotions, whoever is feeling and being motivated or having behaviors based on those emotions. Right? The emotions are dominant. Appealing to or arousing emotion. Markedly aroused or agitated in feeling or sensibilities, right? So being aroused means you're affected, you're strongly affected by something, in this case emotions, right? Agitated in feelings. Agitated, I think, meaning like it's being stirred up, it's moving. It's not in a docile or a neutral position. It's actually something that's being stirred up. It's got energy behind it. It's vibrating, right? Feelings or sensibilities. So everything is ignited is another good word. So the emotional characteristic. Once again, this could be an animal. This could be a human, male or female, can be emotional. Now, when you pair that, well, while we're at it, we're talking about masculine and emotional, right? Well, all right, why don't we just look at the opposite, which is feminine? Being gentle, kind hearted, displaying strong emotional intelligence, being nurturing, having strong convictions, and being intuitive, right? So the flip side, I think femininity or feminine traits go very well with being emotional. Or even if it doesn't go very well, I don't think it's as dangerous, right? It's more of a calming presence to the emotions. The emotions are dominant and are ruling, but if you're emotional, but your nature is to be gentle and kind-hearted with those emotions, to be intuitive with those emotions, and then you actually have strong emotional intelligence. So you feel them and they're dominating you, but the femininity gives you an intelligence factor over those emotions, being nurturing. If your emotions cause you to be more nurturing, you can see how that's a positive thing. The emotions motivate. They're the driving factor, right? But then the driving factor causes being intuitive, being nurturing, kind-hearted, gentle, right? So the human or animal has a propensity and the motivation with the emotions to be gentle. So they'll commonly be gentle. They'll be kind-hearted. They'll be nurturing. You see how this isn't really dangerous or risky? It goes really well. The combination of being emotional and feminine is actually a really good thing, right? In society, if half the population was feminine and emotional, I think it'd be just fine. And I think it was just fine for thousands of years. But let's look at masculine one more time. Okay. Actually, let's look at emotional first. So, dominated by or prone to emotion, arousing emotion, agitated in feeling. If you combine that with masculine characteristics like strength, So your emotions are causing you to engage in strength and assertiveness. Okay, so what does that look like? That looks like I am maybe ranging from the emotions of angry, uh, maybe annoyed, um, energetic, possibly dominant or fierce. So if it's going positive, maybe those emotions, like you can be fired up, you can be excited, and then you can pair that with leadership. You can use that excitement, that feeling of excitement, to be assertive and engage in leadership or courage. That would be a good thing. But if you take the negative emotions, like you're sad or annoyed or angry, and you pair that with strength and leadership and assertiveness, if you're not in control of those emotions and you're getting stuff done, but those emotions, like your feelings are hurt, you're feeling pain, you're feeling agitated, and then you pair that with assertiveness and strength and independence and courage, you're going to get something done in a very negative way. If you're feeling negative emotions, masculinity gets stuff done, but emotions, the range of emotions, right? If you're emotional, you're being agitated with feeling. But what if that feeling is negative? Like your feelings are harmed. You are jealous. You are enraged. You are feeling disrespected. Um, those emotions are pretty, I think we all understand that emotions are pretty unpredictable. And emotions are so subjective to the individual. Everyone kind of feels emotions on a range, and they're very subjective, meaning that they're so real to the individual, but the objective perspective or the group perspective might be different from what those emotions are communicating to the person who's dominated by them, right? So logic is more objective. Usually people can tap to a stream of logic and they can connect on an objective level where it's like, things like the law or things that what a reasonable human or animal would do. Like you can predict it, you can kind of expect it when you run a train of logic. But emotions don't work that way. They're subjected to the person, and they're actually, from an objective standpoint, they're very unpredictable. So they're kind of a bit dangerous in that they're unpredictable. You don't know what's coming. You don't know what someone's going to do. Then you pair that. They're going to do something based on how they feel, which could be anything. But you pair that with masculinity traits where you're dominant, aggressive, showing strength, independence, assertiveness, paired with the unpredictability of emotions, the emotions that can cause movements and behaviors to be erratic, to be agitated, to be, just unpredictable. That can be very dangerous. Very dangerous. So that's why I say avoid people who have the traits, that combination of being masculine and overly emotional. I want to show you an example of some videos that actually demonstrate this combination very well. I've got a couple of them. One will show it in both in human forms, one in a male and one in a female. Both can take on masculinity traits and both can be emotional. Both can be emotional. Matter of fact, I would argue that in 2023, we have an abundance of this. We have an abundance of masculine, emotional people. We have men and women who are masculine and emotional. Now, women are naturally emotional. I don't think that's an incendiary statement. Most women, most females, most males, would agree that women are more emotional. They're emotional overall, right? They're dominated by their emotions. They live their life and their thinking patterns run through their emotions. Emotions lead. And more, in this current society, modern women are more masculine. They've increased their masculinity, tenfold in the last 30 years, 40 years, right? They're working more. They're more positioned as a power. They've got more stress on them. They've got careers. They've gone to school and they've got expectations of high-powered careers. They want to take on more. They're more competitive with men now, and they look at men's masculine features and they kind of are combating that, trying to. They argue with it. They debate with it. They're constantly battling the natural masculinity of a man. I don't think that's really controversial. I think most people will agree with this in Western culture. This isn't a modern thing with all women in all cultures, but in Western culture, this is very prevalent. Now, what I'm also arguing is that what they're calling toxic masculinity is actually masculine traits combined with emotional characteristics. You put those together, and that's what they're calling toxic masculinity. But mistakenly or falsely, maybe it's not mistakenly, maybe it's intentionally, I don't know. But what they're ascribing that to men. They're ascribing toxic masculinity to men. But I think what it really is masculinity combined with highly emotional people, which in this day and age, I think are mostly women in Western society, but they're blaming and gaslighting men. But some men do fall into this category. Now let's look at this first video, and I'll show you an example of
the new bag of fries.
A young man here that's fallen into this category. Now, in this particular story, and by the way, this is Pink Book Lessons. Everybody go and like and subscribe to Pink Book Lessons. She does a great job of explaining stories and narrating pretty much dysfunctional behaviors and incidents in society. A lot of her videos are about a lot of different things, but they do cover this topic. If you find they run squarely into masculine and emotional people who carry both those characteristics. Now, in this, there's a woman, a middle-aged woman, who feels disrespected, and she kind of does get into her masculine behaviors because she needs to do something. Her actions and her fortitude, she's moving something forward, but she does it through another means, and you'll see. But her emotions get activated because people are disrespecting her. Let's check it out.
Happened to be cold just like the old bag of fries. So Lisa, she turned back around, went back into the restaurant, and confronted the same female employee.
Just to give you a little understanding, because I'm starting kind of a little ways through it. This woman went to McDonald's and got some cold fries, and she ordered new fries. Once she got out to the car and ate a few, she realized they were cold as well. So she's going back into the McDonald's, and she's a bit angry. Her emotions are engaged at this point because she's been disappointed. Her expectations have been violated. She expected hot fries and she got cold fries. So her emotions are already agitated. They're going. So now she's moving forward. You'll see a bit of her masculinity.
Asking her, why would you give me the same fries and just put one or two on top to make me think that you gave me new fries? According to Lisa, the unidentified female and all her co-workers started laughing at her. That's when Lisa says a male employee who was laughing at her picked on her for having food in her teeth. The male employee was identified as 23-year-old Matthew Webb. At this point, Lisa was highly aggravated. Not only did they give her cold fries, but they did it twice, and now they're all laughing at her about it. She was angry that she had to come back to the restaurant in the first place, and now they're humiliating her, laughing in her face. So Lisa, she demanded to speak with the manager. The young workers told her that their supervisor had stepped out, which sparked another round of laughter. Lisa was 38 hot, She had it up to here, so she pulled out her cell phone to call for backup. She made a FaceTime call to her 20-year-old son, Michael Morgan. Now, these are all Lisa's words. The 40-year-old mother said, "This is when I was on the phone with my son. I was like, they in this McDonald's playing with me. I got kids their age. I'm not gonna sit here and keep arguing with these little kids." Lisa says she urged her son not to come to the restaurant, saying, quote, "I don't want you to get in trouble." But while Lisa was on FaceTime with her 20-year-old son, Michael, she showed him the McDonald's employee who picked on her for having food in her teeth.
Now, she's doing something about it. She's moving forward. What she's doing, she's calling her son and FaceTiming him and pretty much telling him to come. Now, she says she urged them not to come because she didn't want to get in trouble, but realize this is a mother. And most of us, if our mothers told us they're having this problem, that we're going to want to go and take action. However, if our mother was serious about us not showing up, she would leave and tell us not to. She wouldn't even give us all the information of the picture of this guy and where exactly she is. And she had plenty of opportunity to not involve her son. But what she's doing is she's engaging her son. She's putting a battery in his back so that he goes and engage. Now, he's a man. He's got testosterone. He's got masculine qualities for sure. But what I suspect is because he was raised, it doesn't say anything about his father. He was raised by his mother. I'm pretty sure he's probably got a lot of emotional qualities. I don't think he's feminine at all. I think he's masculine, but I think he's emotional. Usually young boys, when they're raised by women without a father presence and you don't get the masculinity, the stoicism, usually they take on those emotional qualities because they see emotion constantly and they begin to think that it's okay. So I think he's going up there in his masculine form, but I think he's in an emotional state of mind at the time being. Let's keep it moving.
That was Matthew. Lisa's son showed up. He got into an argument with Matthew, and then he told Matthew to come outside with him. According to Lisa's version of events, she said her son left the store, so she thought the dispute was over. But about
Okay, so his son met with him. He started arguing with him, right? They're emotional, right? Usually men can talk it out, even if, especially when they're stoic and masculine, right? They're showing leadership qualities. They're showing assertiveness. They're showing strength. But quiet strength is always more advantageous than aggressive, loud, emotional strength. This is emotions already taken care of. The masculinity is moving it forward. Let's come outside because we're going to do something about this. But the emotions is the underlying energy that's being displayed.
10 minutes later, Matthew approached her looking for her son. Lisa says she told him her son had left the restaurant and to mind his business. That's when she said that Matthew went looking for her son, and about 10 minutes later, Lisa heard a gunshot. She said, "I looked and I seen a boy on the ground, and then I saw my son running the other way. I called 911 and then I sat there and waited." Lisa then suggested to the newspaper that Matthew, the McDonald's employee, was hiding a gun under his shirt. But according to the police, they found no evidence that indicated that the employee had a gun. So that part of Lisa's claim is not believed to be true. Now, you have a bunch of witnesses around, and they're saying that after Lisa's son Michael came into the restaurant and confronted Matthew, the argument moved from inside to outside. Michael was able to get Matthew to come outside. That's when witnesses say he pulled out a gun and shot him in the neck. The employees saw all of it, and they instantly went from laughing to screaming and crying. All of them pulled out their phones and stood close over Matthew. Fortunately, a man stepped in to help and do something. He took off his shirt and put it on Matthew's neck to try to limit the bleeding. At that time, witnesses...
Okay, so there's a random man there who's actually taking action. When I look at it, he's showing leadership. He's being assertive. He's taking action, having strength and courage, but he's not emotional. He's just doing what needs to be done. So there's a bit of a contrast there. If you look at this through a lens of just characteristics only.
Matthew's right eye was swollen shut. He couldn't talk. He was shaking, his chest heaving, and he was still breathing when the ambulance showed up and put him on a stretcher. At the time of this video, Matthew remains in extremely critical condition at Brookdale Hospital in Brooklyn. His poor mother, she said that she can't sleep. She's been at the hospital by her son's side the whole time. She said that she's not in a good mental state right now. She can't think, and she's just not ready for her son to go. She's not ready. Matthew's mother said that she wished she had more family support, and she was able to find a pastor at the hospital to pray for him. Remember, Lisa said that she told her son not to come down there, but he showed up anyway, even admitting that her son told Matthew to come outside? Well, now in her son's defense, Lisa told reporters there was no reason for Matthew to come outside. So what happened outside, you caused that to happen. She's talking about Matthew, the McDonald's employee, causing his own condition by going outside. Now, Matthew.
Now you can see the flip-flop back and forth on the story. She's saying he caused his own. She's kind of blaming him. That's not leadership. That's not courageous. It's not strength. It's a different sort of thing. It's just the emotions are running. Dominated by emotion, aroused emotion, agitated in feeling. Do you think that lady is agitated in her feelings right now? Pretty sure she is, right? She's not being feminine. She wasn't gentle or kind-hearted, not nurturing. She would have realized that's a young boy being immature, and she probably can just let it go because he's not being nice, but it's probably not worth causing a big problem, even though she's being disrespected. That would be strong emotional intelligence. That would be being gentle and kind-hearted, even in a moment of disrespect. That would be being intuitive, having strong convictions, right? That's what that would be. But that's not what's going on. She's using masculinity to get stuff done in her emotional state.
He did not have a criminal record, but Lisa's son, Michael, he's been arrested 13 times prior to this recent incident. Police arrested him and he was...
Okay, so her son, which it doesn't mention a father at all, so you can kind of assume there's probably a single mother. He's been arrested 13 times, and she called him when she had a problem with being disrespected. She put a battery in his back. She engaged his emotions, and then she's using his masculinity to get it done, right? So not only is this combination dangerous in itself, but people trigger the emotions, right? And then, as a masculine man, they'll trigger emotions to get you to take certain actions that maybe they don't want to take themselves, but they're triggering it. They're using both traits against you. It's dangerous in a lot of ways.
Charged with attempted murder and criminal possession of a weapon. A second arrest was also made in connection with the case. His 18-year-old girlfriend, Camelia Dunlap. She was charged with 2 counts of criminal possession of a weapon. According to police, it was his girlfriend who handed him the gun before he opened fire. Camelia's grandmother, Miss Deborah Dunlap, says the employees should have given Lisa hot fries and Matthew shouldn't have gone outside, but she's hoping he survives. The grandmother told reporters that her granddaughter, she's been dating Michael for 3 years, but she has a 2-year-old daughter from a previous relationship. So Camelia, she had a baby at 16 years old from another guy, and she had been dating Michael a year before the baby was born. The grandmother...
Okay, so I want to point out, in my mind, there's a lack of femininity in the story that they're explaining about the girlfriend, right? She's got this boyfriend. She showed up with him. She gave him the gun. And, she had a 2-year-old, even though they've been together for 3 years. So there's some promiscuity right there, or at least lack of loyalty or something like that. And then I look at the feminine traits, being gentle and kind-hearted. She handed him the gun. Strong emotional intelligence. I don't think so. Nurturing. No, she's allowing someone to receive harm. Strong convictions. I don't think so. Being intuitive. She wasn't intuitive about that situation. Someone really got hurt. There's a tragedy that happened and she played a part in it. So she's being charged, right? Let's see how she lines up with Oh yeah, she's probably dominated by her emotions. I'm sure she was aroused in that moment, a heightened situation, and she was, yeah, agitated and feeling. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's get back to the video.
Say this about Michael. She said, he was not that good of a person. I tried to tell her to stay away from him, but she wouldn't listen. She really not a bad person. She just got with the wrong person.
Okay, she's not that bad person. She just got with the wrong person, but she didn't listen to logic, right? She didn't listen to logic. She didn't display feminine qualities in my mind. You know, being intuitive, being nurturing, strong emotional intelligence. I don't think so. I think she lacked that. I think she's probably acting or operating in more of a masculine place of being assertive, being independent, right? Trying to use strength, handing a guy a gun, and not listening to your family, your grandmother, um, different people around you, just doing what you want to do. As masculine and emotional.
Meanwhile, Camelia's father, Mr. Kenyon Dunlap, who's also 40 years old, he was described by the New York Post as unsympathetic to his daughter's situation. That's what the writer wrote. He told reporters, she has to learn her lesson. She's 18. She don't listen to me. I'm going to let her learn her lesson as she goes along in life.
Okay, now let's get into that. So you got the media saying that he was unsympathetic to his daughter's situation, right? So what they're doing is, like they commonly do in Western culture, is they're shaming this man, saying he's not sympathetic. Which sympathetic kind of rolls into the emotion area, right? They're putting emotions at the forefront. Unsympathetic, right? So they're saying he should be more emotionally connected, maybe is what they're trying to say, right? Of or relating to emotion. So they're shaming him for not being emotional enough in reference to his daughter. And then what he said, he was like, I gotta let her do her own thing. She doesn't listen to me. I've told her a ton of times. So he's kind of showing masculinity traits of being stoic, showing leadership. He knows when to be stoic and have a quiet strength and let life teach her. But because of that, he's being shamed, and this is what Western culture does. It shames strength and masculinity. It only likes the masculinity that's driven by emotion and erratic. That's what it kind of promotes. You'll see in lots of situations where the logic will say one thing, but the emotion will say another, and the media will always appeal to the emotion. This is intentional, in my opinion. This is intentional. Mainstream media knows what it's doing and knows that it creates a really erratic environment. Then they get more stories to cover. They can control people better. I don't want to get into theories, but we all kind of have some theories about that. A lot of people talk about it.
Those stern words coming from the father of the woman who handed the gun to Michael that he used on Matthew. 2 days later, a shocking update to the story was released. Authorities revealing that hours after they arrested Michael, they also charged him in connection with another case from 2020 where a 28-year-old man, Kevin Holloman, was taken out. Detectives say that the recent incident led to the interrogation that gave them the additional evidence that they needed to arrest Michael in connection with the 2020 incident, saying that victim in that case, he lost his life in front of a building in Bed-Stuy. Coincidentally, that building not too far from the McDonald's where Michael got into the dispute with Matthew.
Okay, so like I said, the combination of masculinity and being emotional. They found some more another case where, he was involved in and he was charged, and yeah, the combination is pretty self evident in this story. Now, I'd like to move to another story to show you where
Toya has with Timothy.
where we have a different example. This is a young lady, and she's displaying an emotional state of mind, but she also has a very masculine mindset and how she moves and carries out excuse me, how she moves and carries out her objectives of what she wants to do, but her emotions are driving the show. What she wants to do is predicated upon how she feels and her emotions. The masculinity just drives her to do it. Okay, so
she's now pregnant once again with another kid from him. It also sounds like Timothy, he's been very busy as well. He reportedly got another woman pregnant at the same time. So this guy, he's really been busy juggling these women, and they've been busy fighting for his attention and time. Everything came to a head on Super Bowl Sunday 2023, while everyone else was preparing for the matchup between the Eagles and the Chiefs. Shantoya was running around the city like a lunatic. She was driving around obviously looking for trouble, and she found it. Just after 12 o'clock noon, Shantoya saw Timothy with his other pregnant baby mama in a Dodge Charger and decided to run up on them.
okay, let's stop right here. So what's going on is there's a man and he's dating two women. They're both pregnant. They're kind of upset about it, and I guess on a Super Bowl Sunday, she gets emotional and decides to, get in her masculine and look around the city to find him. Right? She's being very assertive. She's trying to show strength, but she's definitely not letting anything deter her from, finding or executing her objective. Right? Now her objective is spurred by emotion. She's being dominated by her emotions. She's pregnant. She's got a lot of hormones going on. She's agitated in feelings, and she heard that he was with the other woman. She's aroused by emotion, and she's being assertive to get that done. Right? What she is not is being gentle, being kind-hearted, or nurturing. She's not showing strong emotional intelligence, which would be female traits. Right? That's not what's going on.
Didn't care about her 2-year-old son who was in the car with her. She didn't care that she was pregnant, nor did she care that the other woman was pregnant too. Shantoya pulled up in her SUV next to Timothy and the woman in the Charger, started yelling at the woman. The women exchanged words with each other, and out of nowhere, Shantoya pulled out a firearm and let off several shots towards the other woman. Shantoya.
Okay, let's look at the actions. Gentle, kind-hearted, nurturing, not at all, not a chance. Leadership, assertiveness, strength, and courage. It's hard to see it in those lights because the emotions are driving her and her behavior is so erratic, right? Masculinity is not really emotional. These are just the characteristics of masculinity. They move stuff forward with these qualities, but when you combine, excuse me, when you combine emotions that are erratic with these aggressive, assertive, strength-taking behaviors, then you get this thing that's not strength, courage, independence, and leadership. You don't get that. You get erratic behavior that's spurred forward with a strong energy and assertive energy, but it's erratic based on the emotions and the feelings that are kind of driving the person in this irresponsible, unpredictable behaviors, but is being moved forward by the masculinity.
Drove away while Timothy took the other woman to the hospital. As authorities arrived and conducted an investigation, they found casings in the road. A message was sent out to neighboring police departments and hospitals to be on the lookout for a gunshot victim. A short time later.
Now, I'm not saying the man is innocent or don't have a part to play. He's probably quite the culprit, but at least he had the leadership qualities and the courage and strength to take her to the hospital and get her some care, while the other lady ran off fast, erratic, crazy, just to get away with no care and concern for the health and the well-being of that woman, right? She had no nurturing ability, no showing of behaviors that are kind-hearted, no emotional intelligence, not intuitive at all. Strong emotions actually go against being intuitive. They become erratic. It shuts off a lot of times. It shuts off feminine qualities, and they get into their masculinity. Okay, let's keep it moving.
Centerline police received a call from Ascension St. John Hospital in Detroit saying the victim had showed up there for medical treatment. The woman was reportedly treated for non-life-threatening wounds to her leg, and detectives ended up tracking down Shantoya. They found her at her residence in Detroit. When they got to her house, officers reported seeing Shantoya slapping Timothy, but when they approached them, Timothy tried to cover up for Shantoya and told them that she did not hit him. Never mind, the officers clearly saw her putting hands on him. Even though Timothy tried to lie about her slapping him, they still ended up picking up Shantoya and charged her with the incident where she injured the pregnant woman. Her bond was set at $750,000. Shantoya also had 3 outstanding warrants from other counties.
Sadly, a real-life Jerry Springer-style story, if ever there was one. And somewhat complicated, but here are the basics. One man has 2 women pregnant at the same time, and one of the pregnant women is apparently very jealous, so she shoots the other one.
It's outrageous conduct.
Here's the sequence of events according to...
Okay. I think we get the point, right? She was very jealous, which kind of fall into the emotional category. Very erratic. And, she ended up shooting a woman, being violent. That's not displaying leadership or strength, but it's still, the actions are being moved forward by these sort of fortitudinal qualities, right? So, I think we get it. When you combine that with the emotions of being jealous, the agitated in the feelings of jealousy, agitated in the feeling of anger, agitated in the feeling of possessiveness and violence. And she's dominated by those feelings. See? And then you combine it with the masculinity that's just moving it forward. It's the fortitude to get the actions done and not be persuaded in not doing it, not being dissuaded, not allowing anything to get in that way. She drove around the city to find them and finally found them, pulled up to the side of the vehicle, proceeded to be aggressive verbally, and then, pulled out a gun and used it, right? Now, if she was in her feminine at all, even if she did get there and was upset, if she was nurturing and gentle and kind-hearted or even having emotional intelligence, there's no way, even if she's upset and yelling, that she pulls out that gun and uses it. Feminine traits just don't operate that way. So my point overall is we must avoid these people who have these sort of traits, whether they're men or women, male or female. These traits are in combination, or I'll say it, they're unpredictable, they're erratic, let's say it, they're a bit dangerous. They're definitely not good for anyone's well-being. It's a dangerous combination. If you're going to be very masculine, even if you're a woman, if you're going to be very masculine, you need to be stoic. You need to be calm. You need to show strength. You should be assertive, but it should be controlled. And never, ever allow this society to tell you that you being stoic and strong and assertive and showing leadership are negative qualities. That has nothing to do with what society is talking about in their gaslighting of mostly men. Yeah, let's just say it. They're doing this to men. They're gaslighting you. They're saying you should be expressing your feelings, communicating your feelings, thinking about them. No, that is a emotional way. That's not even feminine. That's just emotional. Having emotional intelligence is important in that you would relate to a masculine individual and you would have emotional intelligence to know that they're operating in their masculinity, so they're not going to be emotional, erratic, agitated with feelings. No, they're going to be probably more quiet. They're not going to talk as much. They're going to show leadership and being assertive. They're going to be very independent. They're going to be walking around doing what they think is the best thing for them to be doing at any given moment. They're going to show courage when things are difficult to do. They're going to do it anyway. They're going to show strength. These are the greatest attributes to making society peaceful, moving forward, moving humanity forward, developing, building. These are the greatest attributes. Society is built on this. Civilizations are built on this. So avoid people who, if they're overly emotional, hey, maybe you can handle it. But if they pair that with masculinity, if they're overly emotional and feminine, a masculine man can handle that. Usually no problem. Overly emotional and nurturing. Overly emotional and strong emotional intelligence. Gentle, kind-hearted. Having strong convictions. Maybe she's emotional and she thinks her position is right, or he thinks his position is right in his convictions. That's okay, because you're just gonna have a conversation. You can agree or not agree. There's nothing wrong with having a conversation. One party doesn't need to win. One party doesn't need to lose. However, if they're emotional and masculine, some actions are going to happen, and they're not going to be well thought out. They're gonna be aggressive and strong, but erratic and unpredictable. It's something that you definitely want to avoid. Definitely want to avoid. So, in earlier videos, I showed you the problem, right? I showed you a lot of the problems that we have in Western culture. Here's another one, right? When I showed the videos of them gaslighting and shaming and talking to the camera with, the selfie style iPhone and the videos, and they're just talking nasty, and their facial expressions are so firm. They're being emotional in combination with masculine type qualities. They're not doing a very good job at being masculine, but the masculinity is driving them to behave that way in combination with their emotions. They can feel their emotions and be emotional and not put it on the internet, not make a video about it. They can just, feel that way and go to sleep and, go about their business and, have a dog or a child or, work in a nurturing type environment. And, that will actually make the emotions feel better, or it will transition those emotions to positive emotions if they're feeling negative. But when you pair those negative emotions with masculinity, it's not pretty at all. Matter of fact, do I dare say it? I'll even say it's ugly. I'd even say it's ugly. Just to show you one quick example. Let's see here.
1, 2, 3, go.
Oh no, these beautiful ladies. That's actually a bad example because those ladies are feminine. That's a really good example of feminine women. But let me show you examples of kind of some masculinity combined with emotions.
Are looking for a traditional woman, but you don't have a passport because you ain't got. I'll tell you where you can find one. One of two places. First place.
Okay, so she looks pretty feminine, but she's giving off some masculine energy just by like how she's talking and telling you what to do, right? No one's like asking for her opinion at all, but she's giving it. But I'll show you in the next part where she comes up. This is the example of, let me show you femininity. Let me just show you, because I show this in another video.
Women. Before she cooks, I want to show you the type of women that you get in the West.
Not required.
Fans and career-minded women.
It is not required of me to.
Okay, listen to how she
make
talks.
Your plate, right? Like, I am not
I'm
your
not
mom.
gonna do
I'm
this.
not required to clean up after you. I'm not required to cook for you. I'm not required to do anything for you.
Free masterclass on
Her
how to
speaking
eat a
style.
sugar baby without giving up any sugar.
A lot of people got something to say about the fact that 6 kids with all the same dude, how much is only $340 a month. So why don't you have 6 baby daddies?
Most women want to get married while they in their prime.
And females out here talking country. Prime, but
Unwanted, old,
Okay, here we go.
angry, bitter.
Okay, here we go. This is a really good example. Look at her facial expressions, how she moves, how she speaks. And, you know, obviously there's emotions under the backdrop, but she's acting in masculine type energy.
Women. And I'm unsubscribing from that agenda. And I'm going to break it down for y'all why I'm actually unsubscribing from this agenda. First and foremost, women are aging better than men. Let's just put that out there. We wear sunscreen, we take care of ourselves, we get work done, whatever it takes. We age better than y'all. We do. And we actually go to the doctor when we have a health issue, which is why we look better at the same age than y'all do. That's
okay, so she's comparing herself to a man, right? She's taking the masculinity of men and she's like trying to beat it and somehow. She's in competition with masculinity. Very masculine traits, and the emotions are what is driving this.
92% of the cosmetic procedures, 8% are done by, and this 40 or 45 or so.
Age better than men. And older women still get their coochie ate. Older women still get drinks bought for them at the bar on the rare occasion that they go out. Older women still get catcalled. Older women still get attention.
Okay, so she's talking about attention, being catcalled, getting her coochie ate, she said. All these things they just don't line up with feminine qualities, being gentle, kind-hearted, nurturing, right? Emotional intelligence, intuitive. It just doesn't line up. She's just not acting feminine. Nothing feminine about what she's talking about, right? And she's just being emotional, negative emotions, and it's just being driven by masculinity. This looks more.
The issue here is not about whether prospects for them. That's the issue. It's not about what they do.
The older a woman gets, the less she cares about what people think of her. You know why? Because her confidence in herself grows. She stops caring about the opinions of others. That includes what men think of her. 4. It has been scientifically proven that women who remain single and don't have kids are happier into their older years than women who get married and have kids. Which brings me to my final point. The only thing that makes a woman over 30 lose her value is having kids with the wrong man. Think about it. The only reason why men think women over 30 lose their value is because their mom lost her value when she gave birth to their dusty ass and dedicated all her youth and her prime years to taking care of your dusty ass.
Okay, so her emotions are obviously being spurred by the fact that some men have told her that she's getting old and losing her value, and that kicked in her emotions to being agitated, right? Her feelings are agitated in a negative way. So she needs to do something. She has a fortitude to make this video, having all this attitude, post it on the internet. She's talking aggressively, right? It's not spurring her to be violent or, you know, move with erratic behavior where she's going to cause damage, but it's just causing her to communicate in a very unsavory, unattractive sort of way. But extrapolate that if you're in a relationship with her, you get all this communication like this on a constant basis, it's probably not going to be enjoyable. She's probably single. And these are the reasons why, because men are avoiding the masculine emotional traits that she's exhibiting. Let me show you one more.
And don't nobody want y'all because y'all been ran through. A lot of y'all men, when y'all stitch my videos and y'all comment, I don't even pay attention to what y'all say, because every time I read a lot of y'all, you know, comments, or I look at your stitches or whatever, I just feel like I lose brain cells. Let me tell you something. Just because a woman is over the age of 30, that don't mean that she have a high body count. And that's just about that's how dumb y'all are, to where y'all think that just because a woman is younger, that she has a low body count, and just because a woman is older than 30 or 40, that she has a high body count.
We know the one.
Okay, so someone has said something to her. She read something or heard something that she didn't like, and then she's making a video and calling names and shaming and all this sort of behavior, just like the media does. And she's pointing it at men. They really have a problem. They're contentious with masculinity, the opinions of masculinity, how men are, and they're just trying to combat it and fight it. And that's masculine in itself. To try and fight it, it's definitely not feminine behavior, but the emotions are what's spurring it. That's what's driving the behavior. So, at the end of the day, okay. But so at the end of the day, it's really just a combination of those two that's really the problem. And the society perpetuates it. The media perpetuates it because it constantly tries to make men emotional, masculine figures emotional, and it tries to make these emotional creatures that are usually feminine, and it's turning them masculine. And it's playing to the emotions as opposed to logic. As long as this occurs, you'll have this constant conflict, and you just need to avoid it. It is a problem. So I just want to let my brothers know to take notice of this. And people, not just women, although women are displaying it a lot right now in society in the Western world, a lot of men are displaying it as well, because those emotional masculine women are getting custody of the kids 90% of the time, and they're raising boys, which we all know boys should be raised by men, at least after the age of probably 8 or 10 years old. They should be following a man so that they can learn to be masculine and, obtain those qualities and not let emotions control them and not be dominated by emotions or be emotional, right? They should be in control and moving their life forward, doing what they think is best at all times, having courage and leadership skills, and their life would be a lot better. It turns out a lot better that way. They should be independent of all of those emotions. And so if you see this combination, brothers, please just, stay out of the way, move to the side of that. Don't entertain it. Don't engage it. Don't argue with it. Actually, don't even talk to people who kind of show those combination of behaviors. There's no point. All you're going to do is argue, and it can escalate, and nothing good is going to come out of it, whether it's a man or a woman. Don't engage whatsoever. For 100%, whenever I'm in America, sometimes I'm in America, sometimes I'm overseas. When I'm in overseas, I never have to worry about this sort of thing. I don't run into it. But when I'm in America, I completely avoid these behaviors. I don't even engage them. And we can't complain if we end up in a relationship with a woman who has these masculine and emotional attributes to her, because you walked up and talked to her and she displayed it, guaranteed. They displayed it immediately. And once they displayed it, you could have walked away or left it alone, and you kept engaging and you continued down this path of relationship. Then you end up in these awful kind of scenarios. And whose fault is at the end of the day? Women don't really approach men too much. So if you went and talked to her, you engaged her, and you didn't have to. There's no one to blame. Society is messed up, and it's not advantageous to us. Fair enough. We fix that problem by traveling. But if you can't travel, at least you can mitigate your losses by who you engage with. You can't control the environment, but you can control who you engage with. Like and subscribe to this video. Please hit the notification bell, and I'll hit you up with more videos and more information. This is a fire session, if I must say so myself. I enjoy giving you this content. I think it was important and serious. And if brothers take heed, we'll definitely have a better life. We'll have better chances to do all the things that we strive to do inside this system, this Western culture, or outside of it. We're going to win every time. This has been Gamma with the Gamma Effect. Holler at your boy. I'll see you later. Peace.